Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching, yes, it's yours as well as my channel, and this time it is Macbeth. I know the thumbnail says it all, but still it is my duty to tell you. So Macbeth Act 2 Scene 2, you've been waiting for it for a long time. So by the way, you know what is coming. If you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do. And don't forget to press the like button once you've gone through the video, and I'm sure you'll like it, but many of you forget. You watch the video but you forget to press the like button. Please do. It encourages me to carry on. Okay, so what are we waiting for? Let's start. So Act 2 Scene 2 follows Act 2 Scene 1, where Macbeth sees that dagger, the dagger scene we call it. The famous soliloquy of Macbeth, where he tries to clutch the dagger but he cannot. So this immediately follows. And here we find Lady Macbeth. The place is the same, Macbeth's castle, Inverness, and then Lady Macbeth. That which had made them drunk hath made me bold. What had quenched them had given me fire. Hark! Peace! It was the owl that shrieked, the fatal bellman, which gives the sternest good night. He is about it. The doors are open, and the surfeited grooms do mock their charge with snores. I have drugged their possets, that death and nature do contend about them, whether they live or die. So Lady Macbeth is seen on the she is found on the scene, on the stage. It is Lady Macbeth who is there, and Lady Macbeth comments that the same wine drinking which the guards have become drunk, but that drinking that same wine has made her courageous. She has become bold, had made me bold. Has filled her with courage. And this very wine which has deadened the senses of the guards, so made them unconscious. And this very wine has a very opposite effect on Lady Macbeth. It has made her inspired. And then she hears some noise. So she says, hark. Hark is Old English for hear or listen. Hark, and peace, silence. And then she is quite relieved. Why? Because there's nothing to be afraid of the noise she hears. It is just the owl which was shrieking. It is the noise of the owl. So she calls the owl the bellman who summons the people to death. It is as if the bellman ringing the death bell. So it was the owl that shrieked, the fatal bellman, which gives the sternest good nights. So the owl as if gives the good night, the final good night. Sternest good night here means the final good night, the night from which you'll never wake up. He is about it. So who is this he here referred to? It is Macbeth. So he is here it. Macbeth has gone to commit the murder. Her husband Macbeth has gone to commit the murder. He is about it. He is not here it, sorry. He is about it. That means he has gone to do the job which she has told him to do. How does she know it? Because she sees the doors of Duncan's chamber open. And the drunken servants or the bodyguards, drunken bodyguards of Duncan, what are they doing? They are snoring. They are fast asleep and they are snoring and neglecting the duties that has been assigned on them. They have been assigned with the duty of guarding the king. But due to Lady Macbeth's plan, they have got drugged and they have fallen dead asleep. So they are snoring loudly. So what has Lady Macbeth done? So she has put a drug in their bedtime drink. Why? So that now they are as if struggling between life and death, as if trying to decide whether they will live or not. So that means she has made them dead drunk, we say, na? She has made them dead drunk by mixing a drug in their bedtime drink. And as a result, they seem to be as if dead. Macbeth. Who's there? What? Who? So Macbeth, he is not on the stage. He is heard shouting from outside. So what is he doing? He is asking who's there. So he feels someone is there. So he's calling out who's there. And what? Oh, so what is this noise? Lady Macbeth. A lark. I'm afraid they have awaked and it is not done. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. Hark! I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss them. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done it. My husband. So Lady Macbeth feels nervous. Why? Because she hears Macbeth shouting and all that. So she feels that maybe the deed has not been done. Macbeth must have failed to do the deed. The bodyguards must have woken up. So the deed has been left not done. So she says that the deed is not so frightening. The deed will not ruin us, because after the deed is done, we know how to manage. But if we are caught in the act of doing it, if the deed is not done and it is an unsuccessful attempt where we are caught in the act of doing it, that will bring our ruin. Suppose Macbeth is going with the dagger to kill and the bodyguards wake up and they make a hue and cry, and what will happen? Macbeth will be caught red-handed attempting to murder the king. So unsuccessful attempt is more dangerous for them than the deed. And then she says, hark. Hark means listen. And then she feels, how could he miss to do the deed? Because she has laid the daggers of the servants. So he should have seen it. How could he fail to have noticed the daggers? Because he has to go to the room, take the daggers and stab Duncan. So, and then she feels, I should not have sent Macbeth there. So she had gone to murder the king. And why did she come back and give the job to Macbeth? Because when she entered Duncan's chamber, she felt that he resembled her father. So she felt, I cannot do the deed. He looks so much like my father. How can I go and kill him? So then she sent Macbeth to do the deed. So that is why she says, had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done it. So Duncan, when she entered Duncan's chamber, she found that he looked like her father in his sleep. So that is why she gave the job to Duncan. So she says, if he had not looked like this, I would have done the deed myself. And then she sees Macbeth entering. So she says, my husband. So Macbeth enters. I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise? So Macbeth has done the murder, committed the murder of the king. So he tells his wife. And then he asks her, didn't you hear a noise? Lady Macbeth, I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry. Did you not speak? So Lady Macbeth says, no, I did not hear a noise. I heard only the shrieking of the owl and the noise made by the crickets. So cricket is an insect and it makes a buzzing type of sound. So she says, I only heard these noises. But didn't you speak? Because a little while ago, remember? Who's there? What? Oh, she heard this noise and she thought she heard this screaming and she had thought it was Macbeth who had failed to do the job. So she asks him, didn't you cry? So he says, when? Macbeth. Lady Macbeth, now? Macbeth, as I descended. So do you mean to say when I was coming down? Do you mean to say then? A. So yes. Macbeth, hark. Who lies in the second chamber? So Macbeth says, listen. Who is sleeping in the second chamber? Means the chamber next to Duncan's chamber. Dunalbion. So Dunalbion is the younger son of King Duncan. The elder one, the crown prince or the eldest son, is Malcolm, who later in the end becomes the king. When Macbeth is beheaded, he is made the king. So, who lies in the second chamber? Donalbain. This is a sorry sight. So, he looks at his hands most probably, and he says this is, or rather the murder of Duncan, and he says this is a very sad sight. A foolish thought to say, a sorry sight. So Lady Macbeth tries to make him feel courageous, not emotional. So she says, it is foolish of you to say it is a sad sight. Why? Because this will take them towards kingship, towards royalty. Lady Macbeth, there is one did laugh in his sleep and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, but they did say their prayers and address them again to sleep. So he says that one of them laughed in his sleep and the other cried out murder. And one laughed in his sleep, so the other woke up. The one who shouted murder woke up the other. So both of them, they awakened each other. And Macbeth, what did he do in the meantime? He stood and listened, and they said their prayers and they went back to sleep. There are two lodged together. So Lady Macbeth says that in one chamber, two of them are sleeping together. They are not talking about the bodyguards. In one room, two people are sleeping. Two of the guests are sleeping together. So one of them laughed and the other cried murder. Then they said their prayers and then they went to sleep again. Macbeth, one cried, God bless us, and Amen, the other, as they had seen me with as they had seen me with these hangmen's hands. Listening their fear, I could not say Amen, when they did say God bless us. So Macbeth keeps on talking about the two guards. He says that one of them cried in their sleep that may God bless us, and the other immediately said Amen, as if they had seen me with my blood-stained hands. And while I was listening to them, when one said God bless us, I could not say Amen. So I could not respond to their prayer by saying Amen. Yeah, then it would apply to him also. God bless us. Yes, Amen. If I say Amen means it applies to me also. I want God's blessings. Lady Macbeth, consider it not so deeply. Don't think about this so deeply. She's trying to drive away all his depression. But wherefore could I not pronounce Amen? I had most need of blessing, and Amen struck in my throat. So Macbeth, he doesn't stop thinking. He says, why couldn't I speak out the word Amen? Because I am in need of God's blessing the most. So when that fellow said God bless us, why couldn't the word Amen come out from my mouth? So I need God's blessing the most, and yet Amen as if did not come out from my mouth. So why? These deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad. So Lady Macbeth, she is trying to boost him up. So she says, don't think in this way. Don't brood over these things, because if we think too much on these things, it will make us mad. We will go crazy if we think in this way. Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more, Macbeth doth murder sleep. The innocent sleep, sleep that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. The death of each day's life, sore labour's bath, balm of hurt minds, great nature's second course, chief nourisher in life's feast. So Macbeth keeps on. Macbeth doesn't listen to Lady Macbeth or her words, trying to drive away his fears, trying to drive away his depression, and he's going on. So he says, I thought that I heard a voice crying out, don't sleep anymore, sleep no more. That means don't sleep anymore. Why? Because Macbeth has murdered sleep. Macbeth has murdered a sleeping Duncan. So that is why it comes to his mind that someone cried out, don't sleep anymore, Macbeth has murdered sleep. So he calls sleep an innocent one. Sleep, innocent sleep. So all the worries and cares and tensions of our mind are straightened out during sleep. So we lose track of all these worries and anxieties if we are able to sleep peacefully. It is an innocent one. That is why sleep has been called innocent. Why? Because all the worries and anxieties and the troubles, so they straighten up. Every day, the end of the day is brought about by sleep. That means in the past, it is not 24/7 or whatever, or whole day, whole night working like nowadays. People have night shift, day shift, different times. So all through the day and night the work is going on. But in those times, yes, it is evening and night and you go to sleep. So sleep is a type of death from which you wake up. So sleep is as if the end of the day, the death of the day. So sleep brings the day to an end. So it is also a relief to those exhausted laborers. The laborers are tired after their whole day. Whole day's labor, they are tired. And sleep is like a balm. It soothes them. It gives them a great relief. And sleep also heals the mind which is troubled. Suppose my mind is troubled on account of some tragedy. But when I sleep for those few hours at least, it is a great healer. It works like a medicine. Sometimes when you try to sleep also, you can't go to sleep because of the anxieties and worries. But still, if you can fall asleep, it is the best medicine. It is the best healer. So, according to Macbeth, this is the most healing dish provided by nature in the feast of life. What do you mean? So Lady Macbeth couldn't understand all his high words. Macbeth is speaking such high words and Lady Macbeth couldn't understand it. So she says, what do you mean? Macbeth, still it cried. Macbeth is going on one track. Still it cried, sleep no more to all the house. Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more. So Macbeth tells, when first he hears sleep no more, Macbeth does murder sleep. Then the voice continues speaking out, don't sleep anymore, as if trying to wake up the whole house. To all the house. That means as if to all the people in the house, this voice is trying to wake them up. Why? Because Macbeth has murdered sleep, so don't sleep anymore. So trying to wake up the people. Glamis. Macbeth is also the Thane of Glamis because he has inherited this title from his father. So Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. So the Lord of Glamis has murdered sleep. That is why the Lord of Cawdor will not sleep anymore. They are the same person. Macbeth holds both the titles. So what does it mean? That Macbeth has murdered sleep. So from now onwards, Macbeth won't sleep anymore. He will spend sleepless nights. And that is what really happens. After the murder of Duncan, Macbeth loses his sleep. Why? Because most of the time either he is worried, trying to safeguard his throne, which he has acquired after murdering Duncan and a few more murders, a few more people whom he murders, or he is worried. He is trying to consolidate his position on the throne, or trying to erase all those people whom he feels might be dangerous. So he is busy with all these. So he doesn't have any sleep. After this, after the murder of Duncan, his peace of mind is completely gone. So this is the heavy price he pays for his kingship. Lady Macbeth, who was it that thus cried? Why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain-sickly of things. Go get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hand. Why did you bring these daggers from the place? They must lie there. Go carry them and smear the sleepy grooms with blood. So now Lady Macbeth says, who did cry in this way that since Glamis had murdered sleep, Cawdor shall sleep no more? So who was it who cried? And then she tells Macbeth that you, my worthy lord. So go and give your mind some relaxation. You have loosened your noble strength to think in such a mad fashion. So you are thinking of these things in such a mad fashion, and that is what has relaxed or exhausted your peace of mind, exhausted your mental strength. Your mental strength has been exhausted because of your thinking such brain sickly things. Then she tells him, go and get some water and wash your hands in the water to get rid of the blood stains. And then she sees the dagger which he has brought from Duncan's chamber. So she says, why have you brought these daggers? Go and leave them from where you have carried it. And not only that, smear the faces of the 2 guards with the blood. But Macbeth is this time adamant, he is not ready to go. So what does he say? I'll go no more. I'm afraid to think what I have done. Look on it again, I dare not. So he says, no, I'm not going. Nothing doing. I'm not going because I have done the deed, but now I'm afraid to look at the deed. He has killed Duncan, but he doesn't have the courage to go and have a second look at him. Look on it again, I dare not. Lady Macbeth, infirm of purpose, so she's scolding him, chastising him. That means you are not a steady person, you are a weak-minded person. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. It is the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt. So now Lady Macbeth takes charge. First, so she scolds Macbeth for being weak-minded, feeling afraid to see the deed which he has already committed. And then she says, give me the daggers, the 2 daggers of the bodyguards. And she says that a sleeping man and a dead man, they look exactly the same. There is no difference between a sleeping man and a dead man because they can't act. One is sleeping a permanent sleep and the other a temporary sleep from which he will wake up the next morning. Otherwise, there is no difference. Both are unaware of what is happening. And then she says that a child is afraid of the sight of a painted devil. That means a devil in a picture. A child feels frightened. But we know it is a grown-ups don't, because we know it is a picture and it cannot harm us. In the same way, Macbeth should know that Duncan is dead. So Duncan won't be able to harm us. So what is the reason for your being frightened? And then she says, if Duncan is still bleeding, I will take the blood from the place and paint the faces of the 2 grooms with the blood, because it should appear that they are the real guilty of the deed. Yes, so unless they have blood stains, how can you force the view that they are the murderers of Duncan? So in order to prove their guilt, they should have the blood stains on them, because if you kill someone, there will be blood stains in your body. So she feels that if Duncan is still bleeding, then she will take the blood from his body and smear the faces of the 2 bodyguards with the blood of Duncan. And then there is a knocking which is heard, knocking within. So who's knocking? Macbeth, whence is that knocking? How is it with me when every noise appals me? What hands are here? Ha, they pluck out mine eyes. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No, this my hand will rather the multitudinous seas incarnadine, making the green one red. So Macbeth is still horrified to have a look at his hand. So what does, first he hears the knocking and he says, who is knocking? So from where is this knocking sound coming? And then he says that what has really happened, that every noise which I hear makes me feel frightened, shocks me. Why is it that every noise that I hear shocks me? And then he looks at his hands, they look so blood-stained. So the sight of the hands are really so painful to my eyes, it seems as if my eyes will pop out. And then he says, all the waters of the Neptune's ocean will not be able to. So as this is a rhetoric question, he means to say, will all the waters of great Neptune's ocean be able to wash away the blood and make my hand clean? So there is a deeper meaning. He knows that whatever you do, you cannot wash away the guilt from the signs of guilt. You might make your hand clean outwardly, but in your mind, will you be able to erase the fact that you have killed Duncan? And then he says, he gives the answer that no, all the waters of the sea will rather turn red. So the green waters of the sea will turn red if I try to wash my hand in the waters of the Neptune. This is an exaggeration. Actually, it is his frightened mind which is saying such things. Re-enter Lady Macbeth. So she had gone to put the daggers in their places beside the bodyguards and to smear their faces with Duncan's blood. She has done it, and now she returns. My hands are of your color, but I shame to wear a heart so white. Knock. I hear a knocking at the south entry. Retire we to our chamber. A little water clears us of this deed. This line is ironical because later, when in the sleepwalking scene, when she has lost her mental sanity, and then she says all the waters will not be of the seas will not be able to clean her hands. And at this moment she says, a little water clears us of this deed. How easy is it then? Your constancy has left you unattended. Knock. Again a knock is heard. Hark! More knocking? Get on your nightgown lest occasion call us and show us to be watchers. Be not lost so poorly in your thoughts. So Lady Macbeth is a very good planner, and all she does is for her husband. She wants him to become the king. So she looks at her hand, shows them to Macbeth and says that my hands are also now similar to your hands. Both are bloody. Your hands are bloody, my hands are also bloody. But I am ashamed. So I am not ashamed. Rather, I would be ashamed to be a coward like you. You don't have the courage. I have the courage. I have my hands bloody, but I am not afraid of looking at it. And then she hears another knock. So she says this time she is able to identify the source of the noise. So she says it seems the noise is coming from the southern gate. And then she suggests Macbeth that let us go back to our rooms, and then she looks at her hand and says only a little water and it will clean our hands. So we will be free from the stain of blood with a little water. Wash your hands in a little water and yes, you are able to wipe out your evidence of guilt. But what about your conscience? So then she again, and she says it will be very easy. So we will look like any other person. Innocent. When we don't have any blood stains in our hand, we are innocent. No one can blame us of having committed the murder. And then she tells Macbeth, your constancy hath left you unattended. So yes, your constancy has left you. So the constancy is not within you. It has left you. That means you are not a constant person. You are not acting in a you are not acting constant. Then again some more knocking. Get on your nightgown. So put on your nightgown. Because if we are called and we are not in our nightgowns, it would be clear to everyone that we were awake. We were not asleep. So we had not yet gone to bed, and it would give rise to suspicions. That is why she tells Macbeth that go and let us put on our nightgown. So if we are called, if occasion calls us, we will, when we come out with our nightgowns, it would seem, yeah, we have come up from sleep. But if we come as we are dressed now, it would mean that we were wide awake. Then what were we doing when the murder was committed? And why were we awake in the middle of the night? These questions might arise. So she plans that when they are called, they would come as if they were fast asleep and they have awakened on account of the noise and they have come up. Macbeth, to know my deed, it were best not know myself. Wake Duncan with thy, so again there is a knock. Wake Duncan with thy knocking. I would thou couldst. So Macbeth says that when Lady Macbeth keeps on chastising him for having these horrible thoughts, so he says that I would prefer to remain lost in thought than be conscious of what I have done. Lost in thought would prevent me from remembering that I have murdered Duncan. I have done a horrible deed and I don't want to remain conscious of that fact. So if I am lost in thought, at least it will save me from being troubled with the gruesome act that I have committed. And then another knock. So he says, why don't you wake up Duncan with your knocking? And then he tells, I wish you could. He doesn't know who's knocking. But he knows that however someone knocks, Duncan will never wake up from his sleep anymore. So that is why he says, I just wish you could have awakened Duncan with your knocking. So this is where Act 2, Scene 2 comes to an end. A very important scene where Macbeth returns after the murder of Duncan. And Lady Macbeth's speech is, a little water washes off of the deed. I told you this is ironical. And how Macbeth is regretful of what he has done. Yeah, at the heat of the moment, being given vocal tonic by Lady Macbeth, that if I had promised I would have done it and all that, he goes and does the deed. But at this moment, Macbeth is not so ruthless. He has a conscience and the pricks of conscience are there. But soon he will become very ruthless. Because first crime, you're afraid. But after that, when you go on committing one crime after other, one murder after other, you lose the fear. And then murdering won't be a real, you won't consider murdering to be something horrible. And that is what will happen to Macbeth. So, yes, if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me. If I have the time, I'll try to solve your problems. And yes, I'll try to finish Act 2 because that is in your syllabus for class 11. So I will try to finish it as soon as possible before your final exams. So bye for the time being and have a nice week ahead.